Hello everyone. Welcome to the Home Visiting Needs Assessment REDCap tutorial. My name is Jordan Kamel and I'm a research associate here at MPHI's Center for Healthy Communities. So we developed this webinar for you so that you could have kind of a seamless transition into entering in all of your information into the REDCap system. So that you can really focus on the questions and the content instead of how in the world you navigate around the website. So hopefully this will be helpful for you and make life easier. So in service of that, I'll go over what I'm going to cover here. So I'm going to show you very briefly how to log into REDCap, how to navigate through the exploration and planning tool projects, and then lastly data entry. And so the way we're going to kind of cover these things is that I will show our slide from the PowerPoint, and then I'll transition over to the REDCap site so that you can see it in real time, kind of how it will look to you when you log in, so that you know for sure. So let's get started here. So logging in, of course, is your first step, and it's a pretty simple step, fortunately. So when you get to the REDCap site, which is chc.mphi.org, you'll be, of course, prompted for your username and password. And that username and password will be provided to you in an email from MPHI so that you can log in for the first time. But after you log in for the first time, you can change that password to whatever you would like, as long as it's secure, of course. And if you by chance forget your password, you are welcome to click that link at the bottom of the screen that says forgot your password, and that will get you in contact with one of our lovely admins here at CHC, which is helpful because they should know where you're at and all of your account information and all that good stuff. So I'll show you what that page looks like from my end. So again, chc.mphi.org. You don't need to type all that other stuff in, and I already have my username and password kind of hooked up here, so I'm just going to log in and it'll take us into the system. So that's all there is for that. Moving on. After you log in, you saw that screen very briefly after I hit the login button, but the initial navigation screen that you see is your home screen, and if you were in several projects with CHC that used REDCap, you would see a list of projects that you're a part of, but if you're new to the system, you'll likely just see this project right here, which is the Home Visiting Needs Assessment and Exploration and Planning tool. So there are some additional tabs at the top of your screen that you'll see. The one that I would like to shout out is the Help and Frequently Asked Questions. The Help and Frequently Asked Questions tab, and in there you'll see additional videos and materials if you have further questions that you just want to look up really quickly. That button is there and is useful for you. Okay, so I will, before we move on in our PowerPoint, I'll show you how to get into that project. So like I said, you just click that project and you get put in there. So when you get into the project, you'll be, of course, at the project home, and it might look a little bit much at first, but when you break it down, it becomes a lot more manageable. So you have kind of these tabs here at the top. Right now we only have one for navigation, and then to get around, you also have everything going on here in your left panel. So there's something handy here because there's a lot of things going on in the left panel, but if you ever get lost, you can take a look here so that you can get to where you need to go. And what I like to do is, because there are a lot of things here is that you can collapse each of these little categories here of places that you can go in the project. So that you don't get overwhelmed, you can click these plus and minus symbols if you need to expand or collapse them. So for your purposes, you were probably not going to be looking at this a whole lot, applications, external module, or help and information. You're going to be spending 90% of your time likely in the data collection part of the project. So if you would like to help yourself out, feel free to minimize all of those other sections so that you just get to see the good stuff, the stuff that's important to you to getting your work done. So that is my little tip for the day. So now that you're in the project, you want to, of course, enter in your data. So if you were paying close attention at that left panel, you'll notice that there are two buttons there. There was Record Status Dashboard, and there was View/Edit Records. And those are really two ways of getting at the same thing. So there's no difference in the data that's going to be put there. It's just a different way of navigating to exactly where you want to go. So I'm going to go through both options so that you can see which one that you really prefer. So we'll go over View/Edit Records. So it's a pretty simple screen. All you're going to see are these two boxes here, which show the total records, which is 83. That corresponds to the 83 counties that we have here in Michigan, and a data search. So in this first box here, it will prompt you to choose an existing record ID. So when you click this drop box, you'll notice that you have the entire list of all 83 counties in Michigan, and if you click it, it will take you directly to that county's page. The second method there on this page is the data search. If there was a specific keyword that was typed into one of your answers, you could type that and it would bring up that county, but the easier way here is definitely to select your record or county and it'll take you right there. So I'll show you what that looks like here. So we're going to go to View/Edit Records, and then we're going to select a record. So the major downside of using this way of getting into your county that you want to enter data for is that you have to scroll through this big list. And maybe, for me, I live in Ingham County, so I would have to remember that it's in 64, and click it. So that's one way to get to your county's homepage, and I'll get more into this entire homepage and what's going on here. So before I do that, I will now explain the record status dashboard. So this is really kind of a nice overview of all of the counties in Michigan and kind of where they're at in the exploration and planning tool process. So you might notice that there are these little bubbles for each county and each step, and those correspond to whether or not the step is completed. So what I mean by that is that it's color coded. So if you see a red bubble, it means that the step is incomplete, yellow is unverified, and green is complete. Gray means that you have not started it at all, and these other ones are ones that you won't see in this project, but that would mean like if it was a step that you, for example, did several times. But don't worry about these two steps because they will not come into play for this project. All you need to know is your stoplight colors and gray. So, and these, I will also mention that these statuses are controlled by you, the person in charge of data entry. So it's really a nice way of keeping track for yourself where you're at in the process, and it also lets us at MPHI know how everyone's doing with the process. But there's nothing official in the way those bubbles are coded or color coded. So I will now show you the record status dashboard in real time here. So right above view/edit records, we have record status dashboard. And if we click it, it takes us right there. And so it might look, there it goes. So when you first load into the page, sometimes it kind of looks funny and gets skinnier, but this is how it should look. So when you first get to the status dashboard, like I mentioned, you will see this list of 83 counties, and you can see the statuses of all of them. So what's nice about the status dashboard is that you can hop into whatever step of the exploration and planning tool you would like. So, for example, if you had already completed step 1 and 2 and 3, you could jump right into step 4, and all you need to do that is click the bubble. Otherwise, if you just wanted to see that record homepage that you saw when we went through view/edit records, you can click the number of the county, and it will take you to that homepage so that you can see just the status of the steps for that one county. So let's kind of recap here the two things that we just talked about. So we had view/edit records and the status dashboard. So there are two ways of really getting at the same thing. View/edit records allows you to choose your county by using a drop-down menu or using the search field. And the record status dashboard allows you to scroll the list and scroll through a big table and find the county, but also allow you to jump into whatever step that you would like. So now that we've done that, we can finally talk about entering in the data itself. So entering in responses, if you were in charge of the funding application, this will be very familiar to you. It's just like how it looked in the survey page, where you have a variety of different questions, whether they be multiple choice, text fields, or more long form essay type boxes. So I'll show you what that looks like here on the page. So we will just jump into step 1, for example, and to do that, again, we click the bubble, and then voila, we are in step 1, and so we can scroll through it and start entering in our data here as we need to. So one thing that I want to call out in this process is watching for branching logic. You might have noticed it in the survey as well, but some questions will only appear if you give certain responses. So if you don't see a question, try entering in data. So in this step, actually, you'll notice this table, again, if you did the funding application, but it starts out as just giving you one choice, for example, for an organization name for each type of partner. But once you start entering in a name, we'll say like YWCA, for example, automatically it pops up with a new row. And we did that so that you don't have a row or a table that's super long. So what we're going to do is delete that so that we go back here and don't put any fake data in, and then it goes back. So if there's a question that you're expecting to see, it might be because you answered yes or no to a question, so that you're not accidentally answering any more questions than what you need. So keep that in mind. The next thing that I'll talk about here is changing the form status and saving the form. So, sorry about that notification. So, what you'll see at the bottom of every form is a question that says complete. And this is how you change the color of your little bubbles here. So, if we go down here, you'll notice that it's already incomplete because it was a red bubble. So You can change it to unverified or complete once you're all done, and then it has changed it. So again, this is just a way to track for you so that you know where you're at in each step of the process. So you can, if you were to change it to complete, you can still go in here and check data, and change it. But it's helpful to know for you and your teammates where you're at in the process. So my recommendation is to, of course, only change this to complete once you feel confident that you have entered in everything to the best of your ability. Oops, wrong button there. Okay, so the most important thing here that I want to talk about is saving the form, though. So REDCap does not autosave. If there's nothing else that you take away from what I have today for you, it's that REDCap does not autosave. You have to save it manually yourself. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So you'll notice that at the bottom of every single step, there's save options, but there are also your save buttons that are at the top right corner of the page. So you can either save and exit the form, which will take you out back to this record homepage that you were already at, or if we go back in there, you can save and stay, which will keep you right on this page. So I just clicked that, and as you can see, we haven't gone anywhere. There's save. You can't really read it. That's the downside of using that top box, so I tend to do my saving down here. So if you click this down arrow, you see some more save options. Save and go to the next form, which would be saving and going to the next step. So in this case, I'm in step 1. It would take me to step 2. Save and exit record, which if we did that, it would take us back to view/edit records. And I'm going to go back so I can show you the last one, and save and go to next record. And in that case, that would take you to the next county, which is not something that I would see too many people using regularly, but it's there for you if you need it. So save a lot, save often, save whenever you can. I am someone that likes to save kind of obsessively, so I recommend that you do that as often as you can. So again, my message to you is that REDCap does not autosave, so please save often. It'll save you a lot of heartbreak as you go through this process. So the last thing that I want to let you know of in terms of features, that on the left sidebar, if you may have noticed as I was going through these forms, is that there is kind of a navigation panel for your specific county. So you can click the instrument that you'd like. Instrument is a fancy way for us of saying which step of the process. So for example, if you were in step 1, like in this picture here, you could click on the bubble or name of step 2 and just like hop between them really easy. Instead of having to back out and then go back in, you can hop around really easily. So I will show you how that works. So let's say you're entering in this step here. You want to hop right to step 5. You're a real go-getter. You just click that, and all of a sudden, you're at step 5. And if you have decided that maybe I've made a mistake, I'm not ready for step 5, you can just as easily go back to where you were, and you're back there. So that's that little panel there. The last thing is that if you need to edit an answer for a multiple choice question, you can click the reset button. So, and I don't believe there are actually any multiple choice questions in step 1, which is good to know. So I will go to step 3, I believe, has a multiple choice question. Yes. So this is a yes or no question, and if I said no, you can't really unclick it there. If you can hear me clicking obnoxiously, no matter how hard I try, I can't clear that answer. The way you do that is by clicking this little reset button over here so that, ta-da, it has cleared your answer and you're now good to go. So, that's another handy tool for you. And then, of course, because I can't say this enough, make sure you save your changes. All right, and that is all I have for you. Thank you so much for joining us. I genuinely hope this was helpful. If you have any difficulties going through the process with the REDCap site, please let one of us know, one of your coaches, and we'll be more than happy to help you out there. So, with that being said, I'll let you go, and I hope all of you are having a wonderful day. Take care.